Okay, welcome everyone to tonight's call. Tonight we are going to be going over some African Startup League information, and going over that information for us is going to be Miss Mita Del Fierro, over 40 years in the industry, understands companies really well. She's helped a lot of companies to grow into the hundreds of millions of dollars. Been a corporate trainer all across the world for some of the top companies. Some of you'll know the name, and she's here with us today. So we're humbled by her being here. And today she's going to go over what we're doing with African Startup League, a lot of exciting information. And so for everyone, please go ahead and pay attention, grab a pad, take some notes. At the end, we'll answer a few questions. And welcome here, Miss Mita Del Fierro, to take us through this information. Thank you, Mita.
Well, thank you, Jamal. Thank you. And welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're calling in from, because I do know that we have people calling in from all across the globe. So welcome, everyone. Now, for me, I'm calling in from Seattle, Washington tonight, and it's my privilege to share some very exciting news with you. Now, this presentation is for you if you're a guest, or if this is your first time to hear about our humanitarian project that will uplift and elevate the lives of millions of people in Africa. And this presentation is for you if you'd like to learn more about the opportunity where you can leverage as little as $100 or even less, much less, $10, $20, $50, and still have the potential to earn millions in return. I know it can sound too good to be true, but when you hear what's been put together with this program, you will clearly see how this can be possible. Now, this project began as the vision of Mr. Marcus Dukes, who, after retiring from a very successful career in the world of finance and investments, he decided to pursue something that he felt could really make a difference in helping to eradicate extreme poverty in Africa. Many of you have heard his story, and you know the many years that he's already been working on this project. So you know that it's no longer just an idea or a vision in his head, but something that has already gotten started in Africa. Now, I'm sure that most, if not everyone on this call, has heard the term unicorn in the context of business and investments. Unicorn refers to a privately held startup company that achieves a valuation of at least $1 billion. Now, that term unicorn, it was actually coined by venture capitalist Eileen Lee back in 2013 because it was such a rare achievement to reach this valuation, which in 2013, there were only 39 unicorn companies. And now listen to these very important numbers that I'm going to be sharing with you. In a study done by Harvard Business Review, it was determined that startups founded between 2012 and 2015 were growing in valuation twice as fast as companies from startups that were founded between 2000 and 2013. And in 2018, there were 119 unicorns worldwide. About 803 unicorns as of August 2021, and as of June 2022, now that's only about 4 months ago, they reported 1,170 unicorns globally. Now, the growing number of unicorns is evidence of how new innovations in technology combined with social media apps has really contributed to this rise. And in a few minutes, you'll appreciate why these numbers could be relevant to what we're presenting to you now. But first, let me ask this. How many of you were invited to be a private investor in a unicorn company when it was just a startup, meaning before it became a unicorn company? Chances are that you, like me, never got that call to go check out any of these startups. So let's talk about what was happening in Silicon Valley before these unicorn companies started popping up. This is where the little guys with great ideas, they went there to pitch private investors and venture capitalists, hoping to get funding to build their ideas into successful companies. And of course, we've all heard the stories of unbelievable returns of tens of millions or hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars when any of these great ideas became successful, and especially when they achieved unicorn status. So now that you're on this presentation, let me just say that now you have been invited to an opportunity where you can be a part of profiting from startups that could potentially become unicorn companies. Now, the vision that Marcus started with has now evolved into a new startup ecosystem in Africa. And this is to address the continent's most pressing issues, and it's using crypto and blockchain technology. Now, this is important because blockchain is a transparent and incorruptible digital ledger, and crypto moves the world to prosperity. Now, one part of this new ecosystem, the Humanity Node Protocol, has already completed proof of concept with its successful execution and implementation in Africa, where people are already being trained. They're gaining new skills. They have access to business resources that will give them opportunities that they never had previously to be able to improve their personal economies. And this will result in their lives and their families' lives truly being uplifted and elevated in ways that will be sustainable for a lifetime. Now, another part of this new ecosystem is the African Startup League, or ASL. And this is what we're going to be focusing on for the presentation this evening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a screen share here and kind of take you through the story of the African Startup League. So like this screen is saying, welcome to Africa's $1 trillion startup competition. And this is where we've laid the groundwork, and it's going to give you access to the world's next major economy. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit more. But this is really where you're going to have the opportunity to have equity in some dynamic businesses that have real world impact. So we're going to be talking about Africa's $1 trillion startup game. We're going to talk about why Africa, the decentralized GDP of Africa, Africa's rise, which will be faster than China's, and we'll talk about China's rise to that $1 trillion GDP as well. ASL, how it's going to help you create your own venture fund, how it's going to give staking rewards of up to 100x, how we will launch 100 African startups per year. And the African Startup League way, this is where you can win sometimes, but never lose. We're going to talk about the competition, tokenomics, commissions, and referrals. So what is the African Startup League? Well, the African Startup League is a unique startup studio platform. This is where we're actually going to connect the entrepreneurs with the people that will help them to get their businesses off the ground. So the strategists, the creatives, the engineers, the community and capital to design and build and launch exponential organizations. And it will be focused on improving the life of humans and transforming the world of tomorrow. And all of these teams that are part of this competition are all vying for the grand prize of $1 million, which will be awarded to fund their projects. So why are we doing it? Well, we want to find the future unicorns. Remember, the billion-dollar companies, which will be the foundation of Africa's multi-trillion-dollar economy. And remember, while we are going to help find and create unicorn companies, They don't all need to become unicorns in order for you to earn the unbelievable returns because of the advantage that you have right now with timing, meaning you're finding out about this at ground zero before it even gets started. And you have access to the price of the ASL tokens, the African Startup League tokens, at 1 cent. So that's why you have that advantage. So how are we going to do it? Well, we are laying the ground, we are laying the railroads, meaning we're really creating that path to gather and distribute resources for the building and acceleration of the next 10,000 great blockchain-based, humanity-focused companies and create $1 trillion of new wealth. So why Africa? Well, first of all, there's an unprecedented opportunity there that's been created by the convergence of demographic, social, and blockchain power. So let's look at the demographic power. Currently, 1.4 billion inhabitants in Africa, the second largest population in the world. But by 2050, it's estimated to reach 2.5 billion. And it has the youngest population of any region, where the median age is 20, which is a decade less than the global average. Then let's look at the social power. Over 500 million people on the internet in Africa, over 250 million Facebook users, and access to internet is accelerating, growing year on year. The blockchain power, well, it's the fastest adoption of blockchain in the world. 1 year's time, from 2020 to 2021, they had 1,200% growth. And over this same period, more than 100 billion crypto payments were to Africans. And 10% of the population in Kenya already have crypto wallets, okay? Now, we're really talking about taking Africa's GDP, right, to really kind of rival what happened in China. So let's look at China's rise to economic power. And we all have heard probably the saying that success leaves clues. Well, we have something even better. We have an actual roadmap to follow. We know the benchmarks, right? And what China did and what we're going to do in Africa. So China, in 4 years, it took them 4 years to move from 500 billion to $1 trillion in GDP. Then another 17 years to reach 10 trillion GDP, 8 more years to become a $17 trillion economy, which is the world's second largest. So during China's rise, just in the last 20 years alone, they've created 301 unicorns, 1,000 billionaires, and 5 million new millionaires. That's what happens when you see a country or continents rise in GDP. Where is Africa today? Well, Africa is at $1.7 trillion economy today. And Africa will represent a $20 trillion GDP by 2040 with China's growth rate, looking at that. Okay, so when we talk about GDP, this is the gross domestic product. So this is the total monetary value added of all the goods and services that are produced within specific geographic boundaries and during a specified period of time. So this is what we're going to help Africa accomplish. Now, the median age of the African continent is under 20. So that means that we have a very young population, less than half that of any other continent. So other continents obviously have older populations. Blockchain has already hit critical mass in many African countries. Now, when we talk about critical mass, this is kind of like that tipping point. at which something becomes self-sustaining, because the numbers are big enough to produce results and big enough to continue to grow. And the Africa starts its hypergrowth phase with a younger and more entrepreneurial population than what China did. So when we talk about this population, this is the same generation that has more easily adopted and utilized the new technology and social media, which we know are contributing factors to the growing numbers of unicorns. So 1/3 of all crypto owners in Africa are based in Nigeria, where there are now over 22 million people. Now, when we look at Nigeria's current population, it's over 218 million. So 22 million is only 10%, meaning there's still so much potential for tremendous growth when we're only tapping 10% so far in Nigeria. And the information business sector provides 55% of the African continent and 80% of the employment. So why decentralized GDP of Africa? Well, right here, when we're first of all, when we're talking about decentralized GDP, it means that there is not a governed or regulated by a single governing body or authority. So it's not, and you'll see that here in the comparison, where on one side, we talk about the issues with centralization, which is what they have now, and the second side, the decentralized solution. So in Africa, 54 countries with all different currencies. Once we have the decentralized solution is one economy for all. Also, another issue, corrupt governments. Decentralization is free from foul play and corruption, because remember, it's totally transparent and it's the incorruptible digital ledgers. That's what we have. And so all transactions are recorded. There are power discrepancies with centralization. In decentralized, the decentralized solution is that people have the power. Also, another issue, rising inflation and continued devaluation of African currencies. And yet, on the other side, we see the accelerated crypto adoption. And that's what's going to get us to the next level here. Now, currently, 57% of Africa is unbanked. But when in the decentralized solution, it's going to be easier to bank people on the phone. So here with the African Startup League, when you understand how this is going to work, you're going to be able to create your own venture fund. So when we talk about, you're being a venture capitalist or a VC, this is where the funds are pooled. They're pooled investments in startups. And then you're going to get, in exchange for investing in the startups, you're going to get equity or ownership in those companies. And that's how the African Startup League is going to be working. So the way that it's going to work is that there will be 10,000 teams, okay? And each team, in order to be a part of this, needs to have 100,000 ASL tokens. Once they have that, they can be a part of the competition. And remember, this is that competition where they're trying to win the grand prize of $1 million US. Now, where are these teams going to get the tokens? Well, from you and I. We're buying the ASL tokens right now for a penny. And you can buy as much as you want. And you are going to use those tokens to support the teams that you want to support. Maybe you like their ideas. Maybe it's a business concept that you would really like to see come to fruition. And so you're going to support those teams be able to participate in the competition. And you can support as many teams as you want by assigning your tokens, the tokens that you have purchased, the ASL tokens that you purchase. And if you purchase them right now, it's only a penny, okay? And by the way, that price is going to increase here very shortly. So the price of these tokens will continue to go up. And if any of the teams that you assigned your tokens to ends up in the top 100, you will have equity in all 100 teams, okay? Because now you're part of a venture capital fund, okay? And so, like I said, here's the competition. The grand prize of $1 million US. Now, all of these ideas, all of these companies starting out, right? As soon as we have 10,000 teams that have been fully funded, then we start the competition. And by the way, that's going to start very, very quickly as well. I don't know, probably as quick as 30, 40 days that we're going to have all of the ASL tokens purchased, and then we start assigning them to the teams and the competition can start. But right now, these companies have no value, okay? They have no value. But by the end of the competition, that grand prize winner will have a valuation of $5 million. What do you think your equity is going to be worth at that time, because you had supported all the one of the top 100 teams, if not the winning team, with your ASL tokens? Now, and by the way, this competition is going to happen each year. So the competition will go, we'll have the winners, and then there's going to be the off season where we will now look for the next group of entrepreneurs that want to compete for the next competition of the African Startup League, okay? And so again, this is where those unbelievable returns, right, that you have heard about, it's because the private investors, because of the venture capitalists getting equity in the companies. And once the companies have any kind of success, that's where they begin to make millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. And as it continues to become successful and they still have equity in there, that's where now their returns can reach into the hundreds of millions. And when and if one of the companies that they happen to have invested in becomes a unicorn, their equity can reach into to $1 billion as that company continues to grow. This is the breakdown of the prize money, but you can see that, of course, the first place winning $1 million. All the way down, you can see the different amounts up to the 10th place. But the teams that place 11 to 100 will all receive $10,000. And when we talk about the prize money, it's actually funding that is being given to their projects, which is what they want, and which is what we want, because we want to support these startup companies to become successful in the marketplace, because that's how they're going to improve the economy and the GDP as time, as the years go by, just like what happened in China. And when you're part of this community, a part of the American Startup League supporters, you're going to have access to a lot of opportunities where you can begin to learn about the technology, about investing, about the world of crypto, what these tokens represent, and you're going to have access to mentors and experts that will teach all of this kind of stuff. And remember, we talked about win and never lose. You see, when you buy your ASL tokens, right? And I'm telling you right now, and I'll show you the tokenomics in just a minute, you want to buy as many of them as you can right now for 1 cent. Then you're going to assign them to the teams. If none of the teams that you assigned your tokens to ends up in the top 100, you're going to get all your tokens back and you can play again in the next season, or you can sell the tokens, right, on the market during the off season. And remember, as these great ideas continue to get developed over the course of the competition, it's increasing the value of those companies. And at the same time, you're going to see an increase in the price of the ASL tokens. And once it's sold out, that's it. So you need to really decide how much you're going to want to buy, and how many teams do you want to support? Because at the end of it all, if any of the teams that you supported ends up in the top 100, you are going to have equity in all 100 of those companies. So let's talk a little bit about this ASL token. So we have a decentralized system that is going to allow compensation for all. This is on the blockchain, and we talked about that a little bit, but this is going to guarantee that there's adequate compensation for all participants of this particular system. Now, tokenomics is very simple. There will only be 1 billion ASL tokens. That's it. That's it, guys. There will never be ASL tokens again. However, we will continue to do the competition, the African Startup League competitions, year after year after year. We're going to continue to have 10,000 teams that will need 100,000 ASL tokens in order to be able to participate. And so right now, you're able to buy the tokens for 1 penny. Who knows what the price will be by the time the competition ends? But by the next competition, the teams that want to participate, the people that want to support those teams, they will have to buy ASL tokens. But they're going to have to buy it from those of us who own it. So right now, you have the opportunity to own as many of these ASL tokens as you want. And then during the off season, when there are people that are wanting to buy it, teams that are wanting to buy some, you will have the opportunity, if you want, to buy or to sell some of your tokens, or you can once again use them and keep them all, and once again support the teams that you want to support. Now, we do have another side to this particular program. You see, you can go ahead and buy your ASL tokens, and you're going to assign them to the teams that you want to support. And then you can sit back, cheer on the teams that you want. You'll be able to see how these teams are progressing. We're going to have a website to really understand who the teams are, what their great ideas are, so that we can choose which teams we want to support. And you can do that and just wait until the competition ends and see what happened to the teams that you assigned your tokens to. You want to make money right now. In fact, maybe, some people want to make money now and want to be able to purchase more ASL tokens, right? You can do that by participating in the referral program. This is optional. You don't have to do this. Again, once you've purchased your ASL tokens, you can just support the teams and watch the competition and cheer on your teams. However, if you think that this is such a great idea that you're buying all these ASL tokens and participating, wouldn't it be a great idea for people that you know? Wouldn't you like them to also have the benefit that you have been given being here right now, finding out about this? Well, you can do that. Let them know. Just bring them to one of these presentations and we'll do the presentation on your behalf. We'll explain how all of this works so that you don't have to. And anytime that a person that you refer participates by buying ASL tokens, you're going to receive a 15% commission. And when they refer somebody on your second tier, you're going to receive 5%. And when they refer somebody on your third tier, you get 4%. They refer somebody fourth tier, you're going to get 1%. And then when they refer somebody on your fifth tier, you're going to get 3%. And when they refer somebody on your sixth tier, you're going to get 2%. Now, some of these percentages may sound small, but anybody who has seen organizations like this grow, the exponential growth happens and it kicks in, meaning the lower the levels, the more people you're going to have in those levels. So those percentages, even though they look smaller, are actually representing larger dollar amounts. Okay. So help us grow Africa. Help us grow the GDP of Africa. Help us to create unicorns in Africa. Help build the future of Africa today. That's what the African Startup League is all about. It is the first blockchain-based African startup contest for young entrepreneurs. It's 100% on the blockchain with unique and transparent community involvement from A to Z. And you're going to see it evolve once everything gets started. Right now, if you're a guest, this is your first time watching this, and you haven't yet purchased any ASL coins, all you have to decide, number one, is this for you? Would you like to be a part of this community? Would you like to be a part of this humanitarian project and be able to help grow the GDP of Africa? Answer is yes. Great. We welcome you. We'd love to have you part of our team. The second thing then is to decide how many ASL tokens do you want to purchase. You're going to have the help of the person who referred you and let them know, and they'll help make sure that that happens for you. We have other leaders within our community, and I think if you got on early enough, you might have seen them helping other people to open wallets and buy their coins and whatnot. So we are going to continue to provide training for you every step of the way and keep you informed of what's going on. And together we are going to really bring Marcus's vision to fruition. And we would love to have you be a part of it. So this concludes my presentation tonight. And once again, I want to thank you for your time, for your attention, and we'll see you on the next presentation. Thank you.